United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk Witt.
Mayor Doro,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Trustee Buckland. Here. Trustee Mawson. Here. And Trustee Briggs is absent.
Okay. We start with water and sewer. Yes, there's probably the least amount of changes there. You'll recall that we did water and sewer early on in this process, a couple weeks back. The water budget increased by a little over $14,000. We really didn't make that many changes based on our discussions with Scott. The proposed water rate increase will be $7.65 per 1,000 gallons, and the town rate will be $11.08. And we'll finalize that as we go into next month in the public hearing, but that's what we decided on there. Questions on water? Sewer budget increased by a little over $35,000. And again, due to this multi-year wastewater treatment plant upgrade project, we need to increase the rates basically every year to get people ready to pay for this project. As such, we're proposing to increase the water rate, the sewer rate from $11.50 to $13.23 per 1,000. It's based on water usage for both the village and the town. The sewer benefit assessment rate will increase from $71,000 to $81,000 for village sewer users, and the town benefit assessment will increase from $13,225 from $11,500. So we're pretty good with water and sewer. It's never, last couple of years, it's not really been an issue anyway, but I think we're in a good place for those two funds. Any questions at this point on water or sewer? Okay. So moving on to general fund. The fire. Is this fire?
Oh, no, this is general, this is all.
Sorry. Yeah, just go to fire now.
Okay, hold on.
Some general highlights for fire. We've already made our $9,000 roof payment for the current fiscal year, 2025-2026. We discussed last meeting that it's very happy to announce that the fire chief's vehicle, the chief's vehicle, is being replaced 100% through donations. So we'll be saving principal and interest for the next 5 years on that, so that's great. Fire and rescue also kind of rejected some of their expenses for this upcoming budget. Recall mostly cleaning and IT services there, so that's good.
But Peter, I just wanted to also add that the ambulance went up 50,000.
Right, I was just going to say that. So
Okay.
that's, it doesn't. Some of these savings, it's still
Neglected by the.
we're still in a kind of a big hole,
Right.
$50,000 hole there.
All right.
And it'll be increasing another year, 50 next year, which will be the last year of the contract, which will then have to be renegotiated.
Right, but we think that there are some other potential services coming online from
Hopefully.
Connecticut or whatever. hopefully.
I mean, who knows?
Dominic was saying NDP, and there's gonna be some competition out there and other companies moving that are like
Could
starting
take
that.
years.
So,
I mean, we
Could
can't-
take years.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
And right now, we have one of the best contracts in all of that.
Right,
Luckily, but
still,
it's still expensive.
yeah, it's a chunk.
So that's where we are with fire. We set there as well. Any questions on fire? All right, let's go to police. I did have a good conversation with Chief Dworkin the other day. I actually never sent this email to him. It was in my drafts box, which is why I hadn't heard from him, and I was surprised about. So he got me. He proposed a reduced budget, which we then went over, him and I yesterday, and then Nicole and Sarah plugged in some numbers yesterday as well.
I didn't put them in the sheet. 'cause
No,
I didn't know
understood.
using them.
No worries. Long story short, he sort of knows where we're coming from on the discussions we had in executive session, and there might be some opportunities for some additional funding down the road in next year's budget. But as of right now, we've made no changes based on our salary discussion for the police. And I guess I would just, and this is something I mentioned to the chief as well. If you look at 23-24, right there, yeah, and that top number 134. So that's a couple years ago. That's what that was the police salary.
Yeah.
It jumps up to 165
Yeah.
last year, so a
Yeah.
$30,000 increase, and then it jumped another 20
yeah.
this year. So no other department has seen those kinds of increases. And I really stress this to him that another increase after that is just it's just a kind of a non-starter, like we talked about, and not fair to the other departments as well. So that's a big driver for where we ended up, where we did with police. We need to keep those costs in check. Chief Dworkin continues to take a full inventory of vehicles, equipment, and supplies, which will determine future costs. As we know, Chief Dworkin and Alyssa are actively seeking and applying for grants to reduce the burden on the annual budget. But we ended up significantly less than the requested budget for police, but we really needed to, based on some of the other things that I'll get into shortly. That's it for police, right, Karen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's move to highway then. One thing we did to reduce some of the expense on this upcoming year's budget, we're gonna look at replacing that generator this year.
Okay.
Correct?
Yeah. Perfect. This year, they're pretty cheap.
Yeah, it was $2,800.
That's expensive.
Any movement on your end?
I looked actually. I did. I went
Well,
with
I wanted to keep. I do not want to get a champ. I don't want to get a cheap one. I
Great.
want to stay with Honda. That was the one thing I
Honda's
want
a
to
really
do
good
because
generator.
I
It's
mean,
been
I had
a
a
good generator
Champion,
for
it's
decades.
$500 and it's fucking good. And
Yeah.
it starts every time one.
no, I know, but
Yeah.
if we're going to
5,000
keep
watt.
it for 10, 15 years,
Right.
I want to make sure we'll be able to get parts for it and everything else.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Honda's a really good
It
generator.
is, and I'm not saying anything against it. I'm just thinking that generators have become pretty replaceable. So if you budget for another 10 years, you can spend that 500 instead of that 2,800, maybe. It's up to you. I mean, you know what you need and what power you need better than I would.
Yeah.
So
I just know the Honda name's more reliable than
yeah, I just know that we've had this Champion. It's light, it's
Mhm.
easy, and the thing fucking runs great.
Either way, whatever we decide there, long story short, we're purchasing it this year
yeah.
to take it out of next year's budget. We continue to do a lot of equipment maintenance in-house and a lot of paving and kind of other smaller projects in-house, resulting in significant savings for the village, which is great. So that's highway. Any questions on police, fire, or highway at this point? Okay, so when everything was said and done, we met on Sunday. We were still significantly short of balancing the budget. So we had to really kind of look at all these different expenses, all these different line items to see what we can do. Recall that last year we did go over the tax cap by about $37,000.
I'm sorry, Nicole, can you put the tax calculation page up? Everybody? There you go. That kind of shows it.
Yeah.
for
So
last year.
we went from about 1.113 to 1.181 last year. So again, significant increase, a little over $37,000. Had to do it, but when we do that, it puts us in a $37,000 hole the next year, this year. So it's always kind of very precarious. And then there's the ambulance contract increase from about 50. So this is what we are proposing that we do to stay under the cap this year. We are contracted with the town and basically last year's fire budget to transfer $75,000 to the fire truck reserve fund. We're going to do that. However, we're going to do that outside the next year's budget and make that transfer this current fiscal year.
25,000 of it this point.
25,000, a portion of it.
Right, and a portion of it, and we'll keep the 50 in for next year.
So that gives us a $25,000 cushion there, which we needed. We've also been discussing for almost a year now, and I've been in negotiations with a new cell tower provider who is very, very close to renting space on the water tower. It's going to be a significant amount of revenue for us. We are budgeting $25,000 for this upcoming budget for that, which I think is very, very, very fair. So that's a $50,000 increase on the revenue side there.
And Peter, you felt comfortable with that cell tower estimate for next year, for 2016?
It's below what we'll see,
Okay,
significantly below.
conservative.
Very conservative.
Okay, very good.
So that more than fills in the $38,000.
So a couple other things. Interest rates are lower this year. They're trending lower, so we had to adjust that line item. We've been making a lot of money in your class over the last couple of years with our interest. We're just not going to see that kind of return, so we have to reduce that line. Salaries we discussed in executive session. We're not going to discuss them publicly right now. I'd like to get through, finalize this evening's discussion before we kind of go to the employees with the salary increases there. And at a very high level, long story short, we are staying below the tax cap by $1, which I think is great. Every department, worked really hard to get expenses in line. We had to get really creative with revenue. But I think it leaves us in a very good place for this budget, and also leaves us with significant fund balance and and savings going into the next year as well. Karen, did I miss anything?
No, just along with that, staying under the tax cap, that increases the tax rate 8 cents per thousand of assessed value. So that kind of
So that's what our constituents will be looking at, about 8 cents per thousand of assessed
So-
value.
Like just an estimate of a $500,000 home would be like $60.
Not nothing, but not,
It's not bad.
it's not bad. Again, considering the ambulance piece of it, which is huge and beyond our control, I think everybody's worked really, really hard to keep, I don't think anybody's being extravagant in any way,
No.
right? I mean, we are dotting our i's and crossing our t's with every line here, and I really do appreciate all the work that goes into, you know,
Presenting.
presenting this and putting the information together, and Karen and Peter and the hours that you guys spend, you know, going over these numbers. I think we're in really, really good shape.
Yeah.
And I know everybody works really hard to, you know, get to this point.
And it's just 8 cents on the assessed value, and assessed value is,
Is not market value.
it's not market value,
Right.
yeah. Not even close.
But you're right, Julie, I mean, a $50,000 increase just puts us in a hole immediately,
Every
Yeah.
year.
which is just, we're just constantly digging out of that, trying to make things work. And the other thing I just wanna flag too is this $75,000 fire department truck reserve payment that we have to make. It's significant. No other department has a built-in reserve. Or certainly not at that level. And so those, at least for this current budget year, I mean, those are tough holes to fill.
Yeah, and
So-
not a lot of municipalities go line by line. We go line by line,
We have to.
and, you know, we have to because we have such a tight budget.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't because they got the riddle and they just hope for the best.
Yeah.
Prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
So,
But Shannon, also by doing that, I think you guys can certainly see that we run a bare bones budget and there's nothing anywhere.
there's
Us-
no
it
extra
helps
fat
us.
to be
Right,
had.
no,
Right,
It helps the
there's
public,
nothing.
you
It's
know.
transparent.
There's not even a contingency account that I would say.
Right, exactly.
Maybe next
That's
year.
why I look to you so much because you're so good at,
Well,
you know, I'd be like, can we make it? Can I do
It's-
that? You know?
I gotta get it to, it's a team effort on everyone's part, and Nicole and Sarah let everyone know every month where they're at with their budget, and if they're going over or close to going over, so.
Yeah.
Definitely a team effort.
And there's areas that we need to spend money on that we can't, or we can't spend as much as we'd like to, whether it's roads,
Village hall.
the village hall, you know, other assets that we own that are not getting the investment they deserve because of these other areas, for better or for worse, so.
Well, and people are working on, you know, grants, and we can, you know, maybe that's a place we can put some more energy as well.
Totally.
I mean,
And we're kind of being forced by the federal government to also put this new sewer plant in too, you know, so
Yeah.
we're held down there.
Yeah.
We gotta focus on that until
That's a
the
huge
EPA. you know.
juggling a lot of balls there financially.
You know, what helped us this year too is there was no major planned purchases for vehicles or equipment.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah.
helps us
Super
this year as
helpful.
well.
And eventually. We'll have that every year.
Right.
You know.
So that's where we are. Assuming we don't have any significant questions or material questions here, I would propose that we move this to attend to the budget for the public hearing next month.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's all I have.
Do you wanna hear about the village hall?
Yeah.
Okay. So Luke and Mike DeBlasi came over with Sean and looked at the building. They spent about an hour. The long and the short of it is they would be happy to put together an estimate to do the front. Part of the issue is they need to figure out what kind of material will work, solvent kind of thing to get whatever they put on the stucco that's causing it to break and buckle and so forth, so that they can take that off and then put the right stuff on. There's lead under all of the eaves, there's also lead paint on all of the windows, and there's lead paint on, they painted the gutters.
Soffits, fascias.
Yep, yeah, so whatever they do, the actual restoration / painting will need to be tented.
Yeah.
Concern obviously about the elementary school there, so the timing of the thing, but basically they would create a bid to do the front, right, and they would figure all of that out, and from there could project the other parts of the building, and basically it would be a year by year project. And again, this is where, you know, I'm thinking, are there grant funds that we could look into that might help defray some of that cost? They all thought it was obviously worth doing, worth saving. You know, there's some really, it's a wonderful building.
Yeah.
They also said, and I forgot this connection, this building was connected to the Thorne building. This was the gymnasium for the school. So as that project, you know, sort of wraps up, maybe there would be some opportunity, again, to get some investment from some of the people who've been involved in that project and the final stretches of that to sort of extend their largesse to this project. Again, I don't know, but it would be, you know, conceivably worth an ask.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other sort of technical stuff about the project, but, you know, the lead paint obviously is,
Remediation.
yeah, is an issue.
Remediate it, so.
Definitely needs to be done. There's some, I guess, New York State stone slabs out here, or stone posts out here that are beginning to go. Underneath the concrete is some, not slate, that blue stone, yeah,
Slabs.
that again, could be or could not be part of a restoration. You know, it's all very interesting. They would be happy to, you know, have a meeting eventually at some point and fill all of us in, if we like, on what that would look like. But we have had an initial visit from them. It does sound like quite a project, and I do think that, you know, maybe next steps are looking, well, certainly having them meet with us if we like, and then looking at, once we have sort of a ballpark figure just to do the front, maybe we look at some grants. Because there may be some historic stuff that we could get,
Yeah,
or,
or lead paint services with the remediation,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
trying
right,
to get rid
yeah.
of the toxins
Yeah.
and because it's a safety hazard.
Right.
so that did happen. I know that was something we were looking to have happen, and, so that's where that's at. I missed the, Millbrook Listens meeting. I must have had the time wrong or something, so I have zero update on that. Sorry about that. I know they're putting their ballot together that will be mailed to everybody about what the sort of priorities that, as they have sort of gathered them, will be for projects that, again, they would write grants for, or, you know, develop teams to work on. Everything from reestablishing a newspaper in the village, a dog park, or whatever. They have a whole list of things.
Well, for the village hall, Julia, thank
Yeah.
you so much for
Yeah.
initiating that. I mean, from my perspective, we need to do it.
Yeah.
Grants would be great, but we have to move forward assuming that we're not gonna get any grants.
Right,
It needs to get done. We're not moving anywhere else.
right.
We're staying here, so we need to take care of this building.
Yeah.
First thing would probably be getting pricing.
Yeah, so I'll look forward to, you know, their presentation, but if they can start putting together,
Numbers.
you know, numbers.
Okay.
I think
All right.
that's-
Well, I can pass that on,
Yeah.
and I know you know Luke,
I do.
so you can
Yeah. I can get a hold of
you
him.
can reach out.
Yeah,
Would they be doing the service too, or like trying
Well,
to?
obviously, we would
potentially?
have to get other bids,
Yeah, of
but
course.
the feeling is that these are
They would-
people who actually know what they're doing.
Yeah, oh,
They've
yeah.
done this work. They are
course.
kind of
this is no joke of a project.
it is a no joke
It's
of a
not
project, and yeah,
painting your garage.
It's not,
Oh,
what
I can
were you
peel all
saying
the stuff
before,
out of this building.
caulk and paint,
It'd
that's
be
not that.
stripped.
People are not like the small places are
Yeah.
wouldn't even want this
No.
because it's serious, I think. But that's a great start. So thank you so much for getting that going. Just on Village Hall stuff too. I think I had mentioned maybe months ago. There's a MIG grant that just came out from Dutchess County. Former legislator Houston helped to put it in the budget, and current legislator Alexander kind of pinged me on it the other day. Trustee Mawson and I are going to work on applying for that in the next month or two, and with the intent to use it for her LED conversion. Now that I say it out loud, actually, I think his bid needs to be, all the bids need to be Village Hall focused. So we need to leave the other lighting outside of this. Because this is strictly for like Village Halls, town
He
halls,
did two separate
things like that.
prices. He did separate prices. He did a price for this. And he
So
did
the
a
other
price-
lighting, we have to just leave it aside for now and just focus on this building, the lighting here. So that'll be potentially a big improvement there.
He just didn't give a price for
Gym.
the
I
gym,
think we should
which
add,
would
I think we should
be,
add the gym.
which would probably get it close to
Right.
double
Yeah,
the price
I think-
because
You'll need a
of the ceilings. They have got scaffolding. They got to get in there.
Yeah.
We don't have huge entryways to get the scaffolding in, so it's going to have to be piecemealed in. You know, it's
No, that's
labor
good.
intensive
No, that's
for
fine.
for that.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Okay, so that's a little bit of Village Hall update. That's it for me. Anybody else have anything? Anything from the public?
It's good.
Paul, anything to add?
Well, waters.
Please stick around for a slice of budget pizza. It's not actually budget pizza, but it's
No cheese.
Thank you all for your hard work. Thank you
Yes,
to
thank
Karen and Sarah and Nicole especially. Scott and Ethan, thank you for your diligence putting together your budgets. And then Dom and Chief Dworkin as well. But I think we're in a really good place, and I'm really happy that we are staying below the cap. So thank you to all, and great work. I'll make a motion that we end the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We're getting so good at that.